What's up everybody, I'm HoopsandHipHop. So as I am sure you probably know by now, the Pokemon world is massive and it's literally getting even bigger as we speak. As such, we have been introduced to so many new Pokemon over the years, and they all bring with them their own sense of unique personality. However, as the Pokemon world continues to grow and expand, every once in a while we will see a situation where a certain Pokemon from one region actually ends up looking like it would fit better if it was introduced in another region. And that is the topic for today's video, 15 Pokemon that actually belong in a different generation. And as the title of this video will suggest, we are going to be going over 15 Pokemon that actually would make more sense in another generation than the one they initially debuted in. That's not to say that they don't fit just fine in the region that they're already a part of, it's only saying that these Pokemon have a certain quality about them that would make them a perfect candidate to be a member of another regional Pokedex as well. Ultimately though, this is all just for fun, so don't take it too seriously, but with all that being said though, let's go ahead and check it out. These are 15 Pokemon that probably belong in a different generation. Alright, so we are going to be going in chronological order for this list, and the first Pokemon we are going to be talking about is Nidoran male and female, and I personally believe that they would actually fit perfectly in the Johto region as opposed to Kanto. The reason for this is fairly obvious, and this all has to do with their gender differences. Obviously, Nidoran male and female are significant because they're the only Pokemon that's basically a different Pokemon based solely on its gender. Now, this was done in Generation 1 because the gender mechanic hadn't been introduced yet, so they had to make it a whole separate Pokemon in order to include that gender-specific trait. However, because the gender mechanic was introduced just a generation later in Generation 2, I think introducing these Pokemon as kind of a mascot for that mechanic would have been the perfect way to go, because not only would it have given attention to that mechanic, which is obviously always a good thing in a new game, but it also shows the importance of this mechanic as well, in that this Pokemon, depending on its gender, could actually evolve into two completely separate Pokemon. On top of that, this could have also fixed the issue of Nidoqueen not being able to breed with Nidoking, and just overall the weird nature of them being listed as two separate Pokemon even though the gender is the only thing that really differentiates them. So yeah, I think these Pokemon could be better served in the Johto region. This next one is an extremely obvious one, and that would be Executor. Now, I really don't need to go over this for more than a few seconds, because it is blatantly obvious due to Executor's Alola form that it actually belongs in Alola as opposed to Kanto. This is because its Alola form literally occurs due to the bright sunlight of the Alola region allowing it to grow into its true form. And this has even been stated in the Pokedex for Executor that it's originally from the tropics as well, so yeah, this one's a no-brainer. Moving on though, another Kanto Pokemon I believe belongs somewhere else is Corphish and Wheezing, and I personally believe they would be better suited in the Unova region. This is because during the beta of Pokemon Red and Blue, their English names were actually NY and LA, which was meant to represent the pollution of those cities, which Corphish and Wheezing were partially based on. Now, given the fact that Unova is literally based in the US and is literally based on the New York metropolitan area, this honestly just makes all of the sense in the world, and I think these two Pokemon would have been greatly served if they actually debuted in Generation 5. Another obvious one coming from the Kanto region is Mr. Mime, and the fact that he could actually belong in Kalos more appropriately than Kanto. Once again, this is obvious because obviously Mr. Mime is based on a mime, and mimes have a heavy association with France and French culture. And because Kalos is such a culturally rich region that really does a good job of representing that French culture, I think Mr. Mime could have fit in perfectly. One Pokemon that is just barely entered into this subject is Lapras, and that would be the idea of Lapras actually being native to Galar as opposed to Kanto. If you've been paying attention to Pokemon Sword and Shield, this one will be fairly evident, but Sword and Shield's Galar region is actually based on the UK, of which Scotland is a part of, which is where the Loch Ness Monster, the creature that Lapras is based on, originates from. So this one honestly makes all the sense in the world for Lapras to appear in Galar natively as opposed to Kanto, and honestly, I would be surprised if we don't get some sort of Lapras reference or feature in these games once they officially release. Moving on from Kanto though, we have Bellossom next up on the list, and this one is fairly obvious as well because I believe Bellossom is better suited for the Alola region than Johto. This is because it's obviously based on a hula dancer, which is perfect for Hawaii, and on top of that, Bellossom also has the unique distinction of currently being the only Pokemon that loses a type upon evolution without gaining another one back, as it goes from Grass, Poison, and Gloom to a pure Grass type, and this could actually be attributed to Alola because it could be effectively purified by being in the natural, more pure habitat of the Alola region. Another set of Pokemon I believe belong in Galar more so than their native region is Stunbull and Grandal. This is because Stunbull and Grandal are both based on bulldogs, which are an absolute British staple, and Grandal in particular with its new fairy typing is actually partially based on the Ku Sith, which is a creature from Celtic mythology, which is a culture, if you don't know, that is very heavily associated with Ireland, and Ireland is part of the UK where Galar is based on, so it honestly makes for a great fit. Next up, we move on to Hoenn, and we have the Pokemon Azurill, who I personally believe would be better suited for the Sinnoh region as opposed to Hoenn. I personally believe that Azurill is kind of out of place as one of the only Pokemon that is a pre-evolution or an evolution to a previous Pokemon in the Hoenn region, and I think this would go better in Generation 4 because the theme of evolution and new evolutions for old Pokemon was much more evident there, so I just think it makes more sense. Moving on though, we have Lunatone and Solrock being more appropriate for Generation 7 as opposed to Generation 3. Now this one is obvious because you have Pokemon Sun and Moon, and these are the Sun and Moon Pokemon, and originally I thought it was a little too obvious to really be something that Game Freak would do, but then I remembered that Minior was a thing in the Alola region, which for all intents and purposes is literally a pre-evolution to these two Pokemon. Not only is it based on a meteor, which is very similar to Lunatone and Solrock's design, but it's literally called Minior. It's a mini Pokemon, which really just meets all the criteria for a baby Pokemon anyway, so I really don't know why these Pokemon aren't connected in the first place, and it honestly provides all the more reason for Lunatone and Solrock to actually be native to Alola. Now here's one that's a bit more speculative, and that would be Corphish and Crawdaunt being native to the Galar region instead of Hoenn. Now we don't really have anything significant that connects Corphish and Crawdaunt to Galar directly, but we do know that these two Pokemon are not actually native to the Hoenn region thanks to their Pokedex entries, and because it has not been revealed where they are native to as of yet, the Galar region, which is the newest region we don't know much about, is obviously the most likely choice at this time. Continuing with the Hoenn theme though, we have Wynaut being better suited for the Sinnoh region and Gen 4 as opposed to Gen 3, and this is for the same exact reasons I discussed with Azurill. However, one more reason that I think Wynaut belongs in Sinnoh as opposed to Hoenn is because many Pokemon originally from Johto, like Wynaut's evolution Wobbuffet, got evolutions and pre-evolutions in the Sinnoh region, so this is just one more reason why Wynaut would be a perfect fit here as opposed to in Generation 3. Speaking of Sinnoh though, the Pokemon Shellos and Gastrodon quite literally should be Hoenn Pokemon as opposed to Sinnoh Pokemon, because that's what they were originally intended for when they were first developed. I discussed this in last week's video about cut Hoenn content, but originally Shellos and Gastrodon were planned for the Generation 3 games before they had to be held back and subsequently released in Generation 4 instead. So if they actually ended up the way they were intended to, Shellos and Gastrodon absolutely would have been Generation 3 Pokemon. Next up, we have the evolution that never was in Alomamola, and this Pokemon definitely belongs in Alola more so than Unova. This is because Alomamola actually has a heavy Hawaiian theme, with not only being based on the ocean sunfish, which inhabits areas like Hawaii and is literally called the sunfish, hopefully you can put that together, but on top of that, it also has the word aloha in its name, which actually, despite popular belief that that means hello, it actually is the word for love and affection in the Hawaiian language, which is referenced by Alomamola's heart-shaped body. This one I can give a little bit of a pass to because obviously there is that United States connection between these two regions, but yeah, Alomamola would definitely be better suited in Gen 7. Another Unova Pokemon that is better served elsewhere is actually a quartet of them, and that would be the Swords of Justice belonging in the Kalos region as opposed to Unova. This is because the Swords of Justice are based on the Three Musketeers, which is a story that comes from France, which Kalos is based on, and on top of that, Kalos did not receive a secondary trio like we've seen in every other region, like with the legendary birds, legendary beasts, legendary golems, etc., and Unova has 2 of these sets of Pokemon with the Swords of Justice and the Forces of Nature, so given their French connection, it makes all the more sense to kind of balance this out and give the Swords of Justice to Kalos. And last but not least, we have Young Goose and Gumshoes possibly originally belonging to the Galar region. Now this is the exact same case as Corphish and Crawdaunt, where we don't have anything directly to connect them to Galar, but we also know that they're not native to the region that they were based in, and they come from some other region that hasn't been specified yet. And because Galar is the newest region that we don't know much about yet, that is the most likely candidate at this point for the original home of these Pokemon. And there we have it, everybody. Those were 15 Pokemon that belong in a different generation. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, this was all just for fun, so don't take it too seriously, but it's kind of crazy how well Pokemon actually fit in other regions they're not native to, as opposed to their home region. If you guys enjoyed the video, though, be sure to give it a like and let me know down in the comments below what you thought of my list, and if there's any other Pokemon you believe would be better served in a different generation to its own. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more new Pokemon content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and if you'd like to support the channel further, be sure to check me out on Spotify and give some of my Pokemon music a listen there because it directly supports the production of videos like this, and it's very much appreciated. With all that being said though, I will be back on Tuesday for another video, so be sure to hit that notification bell so you can be notified as soon as it goes live, and as always, I love you guys, and until the next one, I will smell you guys later.